Hey guys, and welcome to day 10 on my countdown to the Walking Dead premiere. Today is the continuation of my 100 best moments of The Walking Dead. This is going to be number 80 to number 61. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. So number 80 on the list is the moment, kind of a brief moment, where we meet Michonnes. So obviously, if you remember, at the end of season 2, Andrea is kind of pinned down and she is just saved by this beautiful samurai woman. And it was such a big moment for people in the comics, who have read the comics, to see Michonnes finally come to the TV show, and honestly become one of the best characters going into season 3. Number 79 is actually in the exact same episode, and that is when everyone loses the farm, when the horde of walkers come. I know it's not really a specific moment. Probably one of my favorite moments in the whole losing of the farm scene is probably when Hershel will not leave for the life of him. He's just sitting there shooting the walkers, and like Rick literally has to drag him away. He's like, get off my lawn. I loved it. Number 78 is actually probably a moment that solidified a lot of people not liking Andrea too much, and that is when she accidentally shoots Daryl in the head. After his kind of stint of being, I don't even know what that was, a crazy killer Daryl with ears around his neck, he comes back and, to Andrea's defense, looks very much like a walker, and she shoots him down. And also, to her defense, she's a pretty good shot, but it was just horrible to watch because we all knew it was Daryl, and in that split second before we realized that she just grazed him, we were all kind of panicked about the fact that she shot Daryl in the head. Number 77 on the list, if you travel way back in your mind, is actually the death of Amy. I think that this is, and technically, I won't say it's the death of Amy, maybe when she wakes back up. I think it was one of the first times in the entire series that we got to see this really big emotional connection to a death, and we got to see Andrea say goodbye to her sister. And to make it worse, it was Amy's birthday, and she, Andrea was wanted to give her the mermaid necklace, and she was panicking in the episode before that she didn't know how to wrap it. It's a very, very sad moment, if you can remember that far back. I thought it was, and it was kind of shocking to a lot of people because Amy was promoted as a series regular at that point, and it was just tragic. Okay, so number 76 on the list. Okay, I kind of combined two things sort of together, but they're kind of in the same sort of scene, just because I wanted to fit more onto the list. So I was like, I can make that one moment. And that is when we find out that Judith is alive with Tyrese and Lizzie and Micah, and also when Carol returns. Both of those kind of big moments. And it was just one right after the other of finding out that some of our favorite characters are alive. I fucking love Judith. And obviously I love Carol. It was just such a happy moment after some really shitty episodes, really. And though there was kind of still tension that Tyrese didn't really know about because Carol was the one that killed Karen and David, I think that it's still such a beautiful moment and such a crowd-pleasing moment that it doesn't happen that much. Number 75 on the list is in season 2 when Carl gets shot through the deer that Otis shoots. very, very shocking moment. And when you see like Rick pick up Carl and carrying him and just crying and getting him to Hershel's, it was just such a sad moment to see him holding his son in such a way. And it was just so shocking. It came out of nowhere. But, you know, I'm personally, you know, gotta thank Otis for shooting Carl, if that makes sense, because then we would have never found or heard Hershel or Maggie or Beth or, well, Patricia and Jimmy didn't last that long. But I love the Green family. If you don't know that about me already, I love, they're just amazing. And so I'm kind of okay with the fact that, you know, Otis shot Carl. We didn't die. See, it's okay. Number 74 on the list is actually from this last season, and it is Maggie and Carol on the kill floor. One of my favorite episodes of last season is actually the episode where Maggie and Carol get taken. I think I could talk about that episode forever. They were just faced with their doppelgangers, their evil, sort of rougher doppelgangers in a sense. Though Carol's pretty tough and on her own, but it's kind of such a sad moment to see Carol actually kill this woman, even though I thought she was annoying as shit. But Carol doesn't want to kill anymore, and you know, that final moment where they lure the guys in and they shove them into that like kill floor and throw in the match and burn them all alive. It's just absolutely insane how far Carol and Maggie have come to get to the point where they have to do that. They are so willing to do that, and that just that whole episode was amazing. But the ending where they kind of take care of everyone and kill everyone is quite stunning. Number 73 on the list is when we finally got a line, sort of, from the comic that we have been waiting for. I like to watch the DVD version, and that is when Rick says they're fucking with the wrong people. I kind of wish AMC would have just let him say fucking. Come on, just once. And it's Walking Dead. You're seeing people's heads getting blown off. It's just insane to me that, like, they can show the most disgusting things, but, you know, if you say the word fuck, you know. Anyway, I really, really just adore that scene because he's in that train car and you think all is lost, and then he finds all of his people. He finds Maggie and Glenn, some people he doesn't know yet, but they will be his family and stuff like that, and Sasha and Bob, and it's just, it leaves this kind of tragic episode where they're getting shoved into a train car on a high note. You're like, oh my God, I cannot wait for season 5. For me, I think the anticipation for season 5 was probably the biggest thus far in the seasons. You know, this last finale ended on a cliffhanger, but I'm sure I don't want to watch whatever is going to happen in the premiere, so I thought that the season 4 cliffhanger was actually really, really exciting and kind of like a call to arms. Number 72 on the list is just, this moment is when Rick banishes Carol. If only he knew what they would have gone through at that point. And I think maybe at the time, I don't think I really agreed with what he did, but I understand what he did, banishing Carol the way that he did. The scene's heartbreaking, and what I love about Rick and Carol is that they both been through so much shit, and even, you know, like when he lost Lori, she was really broken up about it too, because Lori was like her best friend in this world, and so they kind of bonded over that too. And what I loved about this moment is that he banished her and she was upset, but I don't think she blamed him. You know, he wanted to make it up to her after Terminus and everything, but like, I don't think she blamed him. She gave him the watch, which he still has to this day. Every time I see that little watch, I'm like, oh my God. It just, I think it means so much to him that there was no really big grudges being held. I think she understood. She knows that people have to make tough decisions in this world. Speaking of Terminus, number 71 is when Carol leaves Mary. That episode is probably one of my favorites of all time, No Sanctuary. I love it, but Carol, when she leaves Mary, is just such a badass moment that's also just so satisfying, because we all summer long were like, who is Mary? Can she be trusted? We find out that they are in fact cannibals, and you know, Carol just did that whole like, I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you sort of deal, and just open that door and just watch Mary get devoured. It was gnarly, but also just, I don't know, I love it. Number 70 on the list is actually from the mid-season premiere of season 4, and that is Michonnes' meltdown. I think this is one of the most defining moments for her character. I think it's when she sees the walkers, and she can kind of see that she's starting to feel like a walker herself. She's literally walking with these walkers, and she's not living. She has nothing to live for, and she just goes ham and starts killing all of them in this big kind of walker killing spree. And I think it's the moment where she finally realizes she wants to live. She wants to stop being angry, and it kind of starts this beautiful relationship once she finds Rick and Carl with them, and them really becoming a part of her family. That scene is just so defining for her character and amazing. Number 69 on the list is when Glenn proposes to Maggie. He did his little ring shopping, chopped off the finger, and, you know, proposed to her under, I mean, it was pretty dire circumstances. They were kind of under this whole threat and war with the governor, and it was just kind of a cute, happy moment that it's kind of crazy, because I think at some point in the show, they kind of go through ups and downs in the 3rd season, but you kind of already know, like, they seem married already in my mind, so it was kind of nice to see them seal the deal when it came to them getting married. We never really saw a ceremony. I assume there was one. It's possible that she kind of just put on the ring and they just said that they were married and whatever, but I don't know. I think like Hershel performing the ceremony and Beth singing as Maggie walks down the aisle, it probably doesn't make for the best TV, but that's what I've envisioned in my head of this, you know. Yeah. I wonder what Daryl did. Like the ring bearer. That was probably Carl. I don't know. Now I'm thinking about like what each person did in this like fake wedding, and okay, I'm gonna let's move on. Okay. Number 68 on the list is back in season 2, after Andrea actually shoots Daryl, where Carol goes up to him in his room and basically tells him that he is every bit as good as Rick and Shane. There's a lot of Daryl and Carol moments that are really beautiful. This one just, to me, really sticks out. It's this moment where she's like, you know, you didn't give up on my little girl. You are absolutely amazing. And you can tell that Daryl is like so uncomfortable with that, with anybody having faith in him. You know, Daryl found value in himself after the apocalypse. And a lot of that had to do with Carol, a lot of that had to do with Beth and Rick, and just these people who have really kind of had a lot of faith and support in him. And this was kind of the first real moment that we see someone actually be like, thank you, you are amazing, you know, please keep it up. Number 67 on the list is a less happy moment, and that is when Hershel loses his leg. That whole premiere of season 3 is pretty nuts, and it was insane when Hershel got bit, and without a question, Rick just starts hacking away. He was not going to let Hershel die, and you could just see how well everybody worked together in the season premiere, and how much of a family they really became in the past, what was it? It was like 8 months that they were like on the run until they got to the prison, and just seeing how quick Rick kind of sprung into action to save Hershel's life just showed how far they have come and how much they're willing to do for one another, even though it was not so great for Hershel in the moment. Number 66 on the list is a brief moment, but a moment where a lot of us lost our shit, and that is when Morgan returned at the end of the season 5 premiere of The Walking Dead. Just knowing that Morgan was going to come back, so many people were so happy. He was such a fan favorite. I feel like maybe there's some people who are a little disappointed with where they took Morgan. I kind of like it, and it's just, but that moment in and of itself where he takes that mask off and everybody just flipped their shit, it was a great moment. Another very crowd-pleasing moment is number 65, where Daryl takes down a tank in the fight against the governor. You know, he had a tank and Daryl was able to dismantle it. It was a little too late, not you know, in detriment to Daryl at all, but there was a lot of damage that was already done and the place was already getting overrun with walkers, but it was still such a satisfying moment, especially to see Mitch like fly out of that thing and Daryl just kill him with a crossbow right after. It is just one of the best moments of that whole battle sequence. Number 64 on the list is Beth getting kidnapped. Oh my God, this was so crazy to me because I can't tell you how many times I went back and I rewatched the episode thinking, I was like, oh my God, was this house a trap the whole time? What's happening? Like, it was just so insane to that she just kind of ran out and a car just whisked her away. And watching Daryl run after that car is so fucking depressing. You know, he finally kind of found somebody who gave him kind of a reason to live again, in a sense, and, you know, kind of gave him hope. And she just got taken, and he's trying to get to her, but, you know, this world, there's no way to track her. There's no cell phones, there's nothing. And she's just gone forever. It's so depressing, and the despair in Daryl is just, that scene gets to me every time. Number 63 on the list is when Rick kills Tomas. Oh my God, I can replay this scene so many times. Oh, shit happens, am I right? Oh my God, when you could just tell that this guy was up to no good. Even Daryl was like, you know, you say the word, I'm sure I'm there. And it was just such a satisfying moment when Rick literally just macheted him in the head. Now, the way he handled Andrew after led to some issues later on, but in that moment, it was just satisfying to see that prick go. Number 62 on the list is in the season 5 finale when Glenn spares Nicolas. And, you know, it was just so insane to see Nicolas think that he could really kill Glenn. I just think one is way more experienced than the other, don't you? Like, oh my God. And when Glenn came out of like nowhere and put a gun to Nicolas's head, I thought that it was such a wonderful, freaking wonderful the whole thing was great for Glenn's development, and he chose to spare his life because, as we've kind of seen, Glenn is always about saving people. And though a lot of people may not have agreed with him, I think, you know, that's just true to Glenn's character, that he's always going to want to save people. And it's just, I love him. And number 61, and my final moment for this portion of the list, is actually from the last season, and it is when Rick's group goes to Negan's, whatever you want to call it, warehouse, and kills Negan's men. Again, I know that it's kind of a big scene and there's a lot of little moments, but I kind of encompassed it all in one. You know, the biggest kind of saddest moment is when Glenn finally kills a person, and but also the awesome moment is when they're running, when Glenn and Heath are running for the armory and they get in there first and they just start shooting the, oh my God, I love that moment. But the whole scene is really unsettling. So let's talk about this for a second, because I want to kind of talk about what I mean when I say unsettling. I think if you're just watching that scene and you haven't watched any Walking Dead before it, it looks like Rick's group are the bad guys. And that's what's kind of unsettling about it. I think, and I loved that. I love that they do that. Now, knowing what I know about the comics and knowing what I know about Negan and what kind of everybody knows about Negan now that we've met him, and it doesn't look like his entrance as when it concludes in season 7 is going to be that nice to watch. I think it's the right thing to do. You know, people have said like, oh, Rick should have never done that. Negan was going to find out Alexandria, and they were going to come for Alexandria and still kill somebody, you know, right off the top. The Hilltop said that they did that to them. You know, it just makes sense that it's good that they struck first, because, you know, if they're going to go to war with Negan, you know, at least those are a bunch of men they don't have to worry about. I know that sounds really kind of cruel or whatever, but yeah, I just, that whole scene was really intense and kind of unsettling, but kind of awesome at the same time. Also a shout out to Father Gabriel I loved him in No Way Out, but this was the second episode that he really kind of, when he was about to shoot the guy, I just thought it was amazing that he's kind of stepped up in the group. Whereas, and you know, everybody really did in that episode, but yeah, that scene is just, oh man, that's something else to watch. Thank you guys so much for watching moments 80 to 61. The next one will be up in a few days. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.